When psychic power reaches its limit, it doesn't just destroy, it reshapes the world around it. Cities crumble, minds fracture, and humanity becomes collateral damage in a war of emotion and will. One fighter's power spirals endlessly, fueled by anger and loss, while the other suppresses an ocean of energy behind a fragile sense of calm. Both are walking disasters waiting for a breaking point, and when that moment comes, survival is no longer guaranteed. These two beings of immense power and destruction are titans of powerful anime espers, and it shows exactly why. Hello everyone, Dusty here. In this video, I'll be talking about two very powerful beings with psychic and telekinetic abilities. Those characters are Tetsuo Shima from Akira and Shigu Kayama, also known as Mob, from Mob Psycho 100. I'll be comparing their stats, such as strength, speed, durability, IQ, experience, and their abilities to come to the verdict on who the strongest Esper is. Before I get to that, I need to tell you about their backstories, starting with Tetsuo. The year was 2030, and the country of Japan was left in ruin after World War III. Orphaned after the war and raised in a harsh government-run facility, Tetsuo Shima grew up alongside Kaneda, whose confidence and leadership constantly overshadowed him. Though they became close friends and biker gang members in Neo-Tokyo, Tetsuo internalized years of feeling weak, protected, and looked down on by Kaneda, by authority, and by the world itself. After a bike accident that should have killed him, Tetsuo was taken away by the government to be used in an experiment that gave him godlike psychic powers. Tetsuo began a hungry and power-driven quest for even more power and went on a rampage, with the goal of achieving ultimate power and authority. With this power, he was able to lay waste to all of Tokyo and even formed the Great Tokyo Empire alongside a fellow Esper, Akira. Although his power eventually spiraled out of control, and this would eventually lead him to his end, and it was in this death where Tetsuo finally got the attention he had craved his whole life. As a child, Mob discovered his psychic abilities early. Telekinesis, ESP, the works. But instead of being praised or understood, his powers mostly caused problems. He accidentally hurt people, scared others, and most importantly, scared himself. One major childhood incident where his emotions spiraled out of control traumatized him so deeply that he subconsciously decided the safest thing to do was suppress his feelings entirely. To cope, Mob emotionally numbed himself. He stopped expressing anger, sadness, excitement, anything that could trigger his powers. And over time, this made him seem blank, awkward, and detached, earning the nickname Mob as in background character. Although he did eventually learn to accept his emotions and embrace them as part of his humanity. Although he did get help from his best friend Arataka Reagan. So now that you know who these characters are, let's get to the main event. Like I said in the intro, I'll be comparing their stats to come to the verdict on who wins this fight. Let's begin by talking about the first stat, their strength. Tetsuo is an extremely powerful Esper. Tetsuo was capable of bringing down an entire warehouse in an attempt to kill Kaneda. He was also able of creating a city-spanning storm with his power alone. And in an even more impressive feat, Tetsuo flew up to the moon and punched a massive crater into it. When calculated, This feat should give Tetsuo multi-continental levels of power. However, there lies even more power and an even stronger one behind Tetsuo. When Tetsuo's power spirals out of control, Tetsuo morphs into a disgusting mound of flesh and power. In this form, Tetsuo's power has been stated to be so great that it was too strong for the planet to handle, as well as Kaneda being scared that Tetsuo's power would destroy the planet. At the end of the manga, Tetsuo released a huge blast of energy, and this blast had been compared to the birth of a new universe. If we take this statement as factual, then Tetsuo at his peak is a literal Big Bang and would be scaled to universal. So at base, Tetsuo is multi-continental, while his flesh blob form is scaled to universal. Mob is also incredibly powerful. He was able to casually send people through multiple walls, as well as being able to completely shatter trees. Mob can create city-spanning storms and lift large mounds of metal and whole towers. Mob was also able to overpower and break the armor of Suzuki. Mob is also able to cause multi-continental levels of destruction in his 100% resignation state, which he has done on multiple occasions. One such occasion was in Mogami's mental world. Mogami is also capable of destroying this said world as well. Mob's strongest form is his triple question mark state, although the power boost it gives Mob is unknown. So overall, Mob should reach multi-continental levels of power at his peak. So who's stronger? Well, before factoring in Tetsuo's ultimate form, they would be actually equal in terms of power. Tetsuo can blow large craters on the moon, and Mob could easily destroy Mogami's mental world. Both feats yield multi-continental levels of power. However, with Tetsuo's ultimate form, he is leagues above Mob in terms of strength. Tetsuo is so powerful that he is a literal walking Big Bang who can create universes. So yeah, while they might start out as equals, Tetsuo's peak is far stronger than Mob's. So Tetsuo takes strength. Now let's move on to speed. Tetsuo is an incredibly fast character. He has consistently shown that he is capable of reacting to and dodging to light speed lasers. He was also capable of flying straight to the moon from Earth in a matter of seconds, and the people who were around him at the time didn't even realize that he was gone for a few moments. This gives Tetsuo anywhere from relativistic to even FTL speeds. Mob was capable of keeping track of Taruki's movements, as well as being able to react to attacks from Serizawa. Taruki has been stated that he can move way faster than the human eye could track. Mob is also comparable to God Dimple, who can react to Ladder's moves. Mob is relative to Toichiro, who can reach massively hypersonic levels of speed. So who's faster? Well, Tetsuo takes the edge pretty easily. Mob's speed is very impressive, but Tetsuo being able to reach the moon in a matter of seconds trumps anything Mob has shown to be capable of doing. Mob is most likely faster than Tetsuo's final form, however, since it hasn't been shown to move very fast. But Tetsuo has the faster overall speed. Now let's move on to durability. Tetsuo's durability isn't as clear-cut as his other stats are. Before he got his powers, he was able to withstand a motorcycle explosion, yielding wall levels of durability. He should also be able to withstand his own power, which gives him multi-continental levels of durability, and his force fields can survive island up to planetary levels of power. His final form should also be comparable to withstand its own universal outputs of power, especially since with it, Tetsuo was able to ascend reality and become god of a new universe. So base Tetsuo should have multi-continental to planetary levels of power, and his final form should have universal levels of durability. Mob is in a unique case where he's capable of both offense and defense at the same time. Mob was relatively unharmed when he was thrown through multiple concrete walls, as well as being able to tank God Dimple's attacks without harm, blocking an attack from Suzuki that levels cities and large cloud formations, and blocking attacks from evil spirits that melted huge landscapes. Mob briefly took in and redirected the energy of Toichiro's self-destruction, and even took hits from 100% Toichiro. Mob's best durability feat, when he was able to survive the collapse of the astral world right on top of him, which would give Mob multi-continental levels of durability. Both of these characters have similar levels of durability when talking about base Tetsuo. Obviously, factoring in his final form, Tetsuo would take the edge. I don't really need to explain how universal levels of durability are far superior to multi-continental. So yeah, while at a baseline they are pretty relative, at both of their peaks, Tetsuo takes the edge. Now let's move on to the next two stats of IQ and experience. Tetsuo is very average when it comes to book intelligence. In Volume 5 of the manga, it has been shown that Tetsuo was a delinquent in school and has been shown to never pay attention in class, with his teacher describing him as having a bad brain. However, he does have full understanding of his powers, as well as understanding of the laws of the universe, as we see when he was talking to some scientists. As for experience, Tetsuo never got any formal training by any teachers, and he only had his powers for a small amount of time. Although he has defeated other espers like himself with similar abilities. But other than that, he doesn't really have much experience. Mob is of average intelligence when it comes to book smarts as well. However, he has a high level of understanding of his own abilities. He was also able to convince a high-ranking member of the Claw to leave his master and question his own morals and even change him. As for experience, Mob has dealt with a wide variety of opponents with similar abilities to himself and came out on top, with the events of the story taking place up to 1.5 years. So who takes the edge in these stats? Well, both are similar in terms of both of them. Mob has better social influencing and mastery of his abilities, but Tetsuo has an impressive understanding of the universe and a wide understanding of his own abilities. I've decided to tie them in both stats. Both have advantages and disadvantages over the other in terms of IQ, and have fought a similar amount of enemies. While Mob has been at it for slightly longer, the amount of enemies they have fought evens it out. So before I come to the verdict on who wins, I need to talk about their abilities. Tetsuo obviously has very powerful psychic abilities. He has telekinesis to lift large objects, or even target specific organs of his opponent. Tetsuo can fly, teleport, create force fields, manipulate gravity and electricity, and way more. If Tetsuo loses a limb in combat, he can use spare materials that are around the area to make a new limb. Tetsuo has also shown the ability to breathe in space and withstand severe temperatures, like the cold of space. Tetsuo has also shown the ability to manipulate souls, like the time he was able to return Kaori's soul back to her body after she had died. So as you can tell, Tetsuo has a lot of powerful abilities on his side. Mob also obviously has powerful psychic abilities. With these abilities, Mob can manipulate energy, create force fields, levitate, inflict paralysis, resist possession, and other attacks on the mind, as well as resisting soul manipulation, including a lot of other abilities. Mob also has other useful abilities like astral projection and can possess people as a spirit. Mob's most useful ability is his ability to absorb energy. He not only does this passively, but Mob can absorb the energy from other espers when an attack is aimed at him. With this, Mob can absorb lots of damage, but with a limit. However, with the absorbed energy, he can heal wounds like broken bones, as well as in his triple question mark form. This evolves into total power siphoning. So who wins this fight? At their base levels, Tetsuo and Mob are actually very close in power. Both have similar stats, strong defensive abilities, and a wide range of psychic techniques, making the fight extremely competitive. Mob's energy absorption and emotional control allow him to keep up, while Tetsuo's raw aggression and versatility give him several dangerous advantages. However, once Tetsuo's final form comes into play, the fight completely shifts. Mob simply has no reliable way to handle Tetsuo's universe-level energy output or survive the sheer-scale destruction that follows. Because of this, while the battle starts out as a high-difficulty fight, it ultimately becomes one-sided once Tetsuo reaches his peak, making the winner of this video Tetsuo Shima, with high difficulty to start, but at the end of the fight it would be a low diff fight for him. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you disagree with anything I said, make sure to comment down below and I'll make sure to read your comment. If you want to recommend fights, you can also comment that down below. Anyways, this is Dusty, signing off. Have a wonderful day.